What's up, bikers? This is a modification review of my giant TCR 2021 Pro. Let's check it out. Finally have the chance to collect my bike with everything installed on my giant TCR 2021, and I will be calling this the Mod 1 for now. So first things first, I installed my Primavera carbon Aero handlebar, followed by the 18mm stem I swapped out from a 90, and followed by the 20mm Schwalbe Pro 1 LTLE, which is the tubeless system. And there will be two new videos to cover the stem and the tires that I swap out, and I'll give you guys some feedback on the holistic or integrated modification that I've done for this bike. So today let's focus on the Prime. So before I jump right into the Prime review, lots of friends and riders are asking me what's wrong with the original giant components, because majority of the giant riders, they experience some absolutely bad component on the previous TCR series, and we're talking about 2018, 19 or way before. But the 2021 TCR, or the giant component, they literally make a dramatic milestone on improving the design and the comfort. And solely talking on the stock aluminum handlebar, I have to say it's a very good, comfortable handlebar, especially right in the middle portions of the tube itself. They deliberately make it as a triangular form, so when you're gripping it, riding uphill, you can have it's just very comfortable. And it's something that the attention of detail where Giant is trying to input in each of the components, and not to mention about the computer and the GoPro mount right at the front of the cockpit. Again, you will never see anything like this in the 2021 series before. Of course, the saddle is very comfortable. I think the attention of details that Giant put right into these new saddles literally pays off. Excellent. Keep it. Don't chuck it away. So let's get back to the handlebars, the Prime. The reasons that I making the modifications is since day one when I purchased the bike, I promised myself once I hit the 1,200 kilometers mark, it will be the time for me to modify it in order to keep up my motivations of riding. And of course, the first things that right at the tip of my mind is the handlebar itself. And by doing the modification, you will learn a huge amount of things about not just your bike, but learning about the installation, your body postures, what's best for you, how to increase the comfort of the riding. So as you can see, my modification is not just focused on something that more aesthetics driven, but we also modified the stems and also the tires to allow myself to learn and how I can integrate with the bike seamlessly and maximize the performance in the future. And I think this is the best way for me to learn, and I would definitely continue so when I reach another 1,000 miles. So before I made any purchase on the handlebar, I made extensive research on the net as usual, and setting myself the criteria that fit for my purpose. Of course, the first thing is the handlebar itself has to look amazingly cool. No stupid graphics, just pragmatic, elegant, and it just looks cool. Number two is the flexibility on mounting different accessories onto the handlebar itself, because I'll be riding thinking of riding an ultra long distance around 9,000 kilometers in the future around Ireland. So perhaps that I'll be fitting on an aero bar on top, and that must be an adequate space where I could do that right onto the stamp. And of course, the third thing is safety. As a first timer using a carbon handlebar, it's a big question mark on, is this going to do the job? So without the lingering doubt, a couple of products sort of comes in mind. First one, of course, is the S-Work Aerofly, and the second, no doubt about it, is of course the Prime Primavera Pro Vibe, and of course Sim. But after looking at the different profiles and analyzing the way that it's been constructed, of course fulfilling my all 3 or 4 requirement that for long-term use, obviously the Prime is the ultimate winner. The color and the placement of the logo looks absolutely subtle and just looks very modern and attractive, not too overwhelming and just enough. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's actually forming the profile of an aeroplane wings, but not flat. Quite lots of aero handlebar like so. It's very chunky. It's just like a circular tube, but this one is carefully sculpted to perfection. And the next thing that I really liked it is when you look at the front, the Prime logo is subtly situated on the left of the handlebar, giving you that very clean and very smooth feeling. And this is something that I have to share with all of you guys, is the close-up shot of the aeroplane wings or aerofoil profile that the Prime sculpted onto this aero bar, and it just looks very aerodynamic, looks very smooth, and it's very well made. So let's jump right onto the bar tape itself. Of course, for such a design, for such a setup, we're not expecting to bring the handle tape, the bar tape, all the way across to cover up the aerofoil profile. First of all, yes, we try and leave that flat plane surface as aerodynamic as possible, meaning smooth. And as you can see, the way that I'm taping up the bar tape is very much temporary. Have to give it a very nice, beautiful, seamless joint on both sides. So basically, I just have to retape it. It will be so-called the reverse taping method, leaving a seamless joint at where the tip of the P is. So after a good 30k on this new handlebar, I really find this a very comfortable handlebar itself. Now, the handlebar comes in as a 40 centimeter center to centered, but when the handlebar continues to the drop, it's actually being widened to 42 centimeter. Hence, when you're installing your lever, it's literally creating an inward tapering position, and that inward tapering, as I measured from the center of the lever to obviously to the opposite, is approximately 39 and around 38.5, and that inward gesture, I actually find it very ergonomically fitted to my riding position, because as our hand is naturally gripping the handlebar inwards, and that makes the whole of the riding position very comfortable and allows me to, I would say, enjoy a much longer ride more than the typical handlebar setup and lever setup itself. And you can instantly note the difference in comparison to the typical setup where the drops and the lever is perpendicular or square to the actual steerings. This handlebar is designed to give the rider a very aggressive position which give you a very limited angle for adjustment for the lever to put it into a much upright position. So especially for the riders just like me that I'm not very used to a very racy or very professional drop or slamming your bar down so tight riders, then there's some sort of installation tips that you have to look into. If you look at this image right here, is this is pretty much like an integrated system, and where the junction of the levers, cables, and the hydraulic cables plug into the integrated system, there is a limit. If the radius is far too tight, and it will cause obstructions to or even functioning of those cables, meaning your brakes and your shifting. So hence, in order to give yourself a little more comfortable position, you just have to raise that lever angle to the point that without causing any obstruction for the cables to integrate it into the handlebar, and this is where the point that the cable will exit freely without causing any obstruction or the function of the brakes and shifting itself. And of course, by all means, you also need to twist the angle of the aerofoil profile slightly higher up instead of having a flat surface on the top, in order to raise the angle to your desired comfortable position. So it's not as flexible in comparison to a non-integrated, a circular handlebar, where you have a lot more freedom, a lot more twisting, a lot more adjustment to adapt to your ideal posture. So this is something that you need to consider when you try to purchase this. So TCR is a semi-integrated cable routing system. As you can see from the front itself, the cables are pretty much everywhere. I have to say, this Primavera actually helps to bundle up so this image right here, the cable is still sort of going around the front tubes right into the back. May not look as neat as what is or how it should be in comparison to other bikes, but I have to say, with the original handlebars, it will look a lot more worse. So this Prime integrated system really helps to tidy up the front end way better comparing to the original version, and this happens to be the perfect match, and it definitely works for giant TCR. So some of my final thoughts of this product. Yes, it's definitely worth investing on this Primavera handlebar. First of all, it looks outstanding. It's a very well made product. It's very comfortable. Overall, it's adapted very well to the TCR design. It's something that's really binds in as a single package. It doesn't feel that the product is completely alienated to the bike itself. And certainly that I need to spend a little bit more time to ride on this to really get a more intimate feel of this handlebar in order to give you guys a complete full review. But so far it's absolutely positive, and someone that is really still cannot decide which handlebar you should go for, Primavera is definitely your choice. So to all the riders, smash that like button and give me a big thumbs up, and stay tuned for the 2 other videos that will cover the 2 other modification, the stem and the tires that I made on this bike. Stay safe and good riding.